Welcome all to this Wellspring. Don't do that part. Okay, ready?
We'll edit it.
Okay. Welcome all to this Wellspring Wednesday, not in the chapel, stay-at-home family chapel service for April 29th. We celebrate our ability to come together, to be together, to worship together, though totally apart. We're starting in this non-public spot in the house because I wanted to show you something. I wanted to show you all the incredible number of doorways and entrances there are just in this one spot. When he first saw this house, my nephew Alexander said, "Do you know that you have 11 entrances on your land?" I thought it was crazy, but we do actually have 11 entrances. And I wanted you to see this because the theme for the month is thresholds. And I thought, like, wow, lots of thresholds right here. Lots of coming and goings in the life of this 119-year-old house. All right, I'm gonna get Harper. Will you come and join us? All right, come on, let's go. Hi, guys. And we have a surprise appearance from the star of last month's Wellspring Wednesday. Agnes is going to light the chalice for us. I just use a match, that's fine. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith, the light of truth,
and the warmth of love. And we light this chalice as a symbol of our faith,
Symbol of our faith, the light of
truth.
and the love. Thank you. All right, do you want to sing with us?
No,
Want to join us later?
no. I have to distance learn.
We've distance learning. All right, good. Let us sing Gathered Here. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. Again. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power, Spirit draw near. You want to do joys and sorrows?
No.
You want to join us for joys and sorrows? Okay, let's go do joys and sorrows.
All right. Well, I'm going to do Joys and Sorrows this week again. And I'm going to put in a joy and a sorrow for our household, and then think about maybe a joy and a sorrow for the broader community. And then you can pause and put in a joy and sorrow for anyone in your household who wants to participate. So I'm going to put in a sorrow because I've been doing some phone calls as part of a Unity Connection program, and I've just heard some stories from people in the congregation who are really having challenges, and I know they'll get through, and I've had wonderful conversations with them, but I also am feeling for them and thinking about them and some of the things that they're faced with as a result of the pandemic. And I'm going to put a joy in because we have had some really great dog walks and some really beautiful weather, and some really, it's wonderful to see spring arrive, and it's wonderful to do lots of things together as a family. So I am still feeling really joyful about that. And then for the broader community, a sorrow for all the different ways that people are struggling to get things that should be there to help them, like loans and unemployment, and so wanting all of those systems to continue to improve. And I'm going to put a joy in for the strength and leadership I see from our governor and a lot of our leaders in the state to help us get through. So if you want to pause and do your own joys and sorrows, this is the time to do that.
So thank you for those joys and sorrows. I've had a reoccurring dream for as long as I can remember, a nightmare actually. I have the same, many of the same ones that a lot of you have, where I dream about being late to class, or I have this test in a math class that I've never gone to, or I leave the house without pants, that sort of thing. But I have one that's more significant than that, and that's one that I didn't really realize was reoccurring until I thought about it a few years ago. I first had it going back as far as I can remember, to when I was about 4 years old, and I can vividly remember the first time. The dream was about being on an ocean liner, and we were on a cruise, and we came to a spot where the ocean liner had to go into a toilet bowl. Now, not a monstrous, huge toilet bowl, but a toilet bowl like in your house. And I remember that this upset me quite a bit. Okay, it's ridiculous, right? I know, it's impossible. But still, it had such an effect on me that I thought, how am I going to squeeze through that little toilet bowl in this ship? I've had similar dreams where the circumstances are different, but the point is always the same. Sometimes I'm being chased by something really bad, and I come to an elevator door, and the doors open up, and it's like the size of an ice chest in there. And somehow I have to get this body into that ice chest, or I'm going to be caught, captured. I've had it a bunch of times. The circumstances can be different. I come to a stairwell, and I find that as the steps go up, it gets smaller and smaller, impossibly small. But I have to get in there. I have to do it, or I will not get to the other side. I will not get through. I won't move on to safety. Now, like I say, I didn't really realize that these nightmares were linked together, but it occurred to me that they are about the same thing. They're about the idea of having to go through something that just doesn't seem possible. It seems like I'm gonna have to pour my body into something. I'm gonna have to bust my bones and get as tiny as possible to get into this impossible thing. I'm gonna have to move through it. And I'm scared of it, right? I have had a lot of creativity in my brain about this. I have had it be hallways that shrink. I've had it be going into a bell tower that gets incredibly small, through sewer pipes. I remember one time even having to get myself inside one of my Tonka trucks to drive away from danger. Now, I'm telling you about this now because I think I know what the nightmares are about. They're about my fear of going into something new and different. Fear of having to change and do an impossible transition. You're probably thinking, well, that's pretty obvious. But yeah, I think that this dream is something that reminds me how hard it can be to transition. It can even feel impossible. Now, I have a friend who's a doula. Marion, you know what a doula is. All right, and she, thinking about birth a lot, told me that what this was.
And she's a member.
What this was is a dream about my childbirth, about a difficult delivery. And she asked, did you have a difficult delivery? And I said, oh yes, my mother talked about it my entire life. I was a long, difficult, hard delivery. It wasn't clear that I wanted to come into this world. So these dreams may be about that birth, but I think there's residual fear of moving on. Have I told you all this before? Yes, I have told you all this before. Okay, good.
Yes.
Do you think I'm right? That's what it's about?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So here we are, 6th or 7th week of quarantine, and I'm eager to move on, but I do feel fear about what the world is going to be like. It's going to be different when this thing is over. All I want to do is go back. You know the feeling? All I want to do is go back to the way it was. I want everything I had to be exactly the same. And the idea that we don't know what the summer is going to be like, that we don't know if we're going to camps or seeing our friends, or getting together with everybody. Is it going to be more distancing? Is it not going to be with our friends? It's starting to feel like one of those impossibly small, tiny, bone-breaking, crushing passages we have to go through. A few years back in Coming of Age, Rob came in to talk about what it meant to be human. And he told a poem, and I do not remember the poem, but I remember what it was about. It was about humans as being creatures that are always coming to doorways, always coming to passageways, and always having choices to go through, to go on, to stay, sometimes having to go through. And he said that that is one way we can think about being human, always moving forward, but always coming to these spots where we can be hesitant, maybe scared, maybe excited, always nervous, agitated. And that, I think, is why we run to each other in times like this. That's what all of us are going through. We are always going through these things that are coming up, things that are coming up. They can excite us, they definitely agitate us, right? We need each other because we need the encouragement to go through. We want the pull, we want the push, we want the encouragement. I think it's why we go to church. I think it's why we gather in these communities. And we will get through this one. When I was talking to the Tower Club a couple of weeks back, and I was telling them about an article I read about everything that would change, how we would no longer do all of these things together, tight communities that we had, every one of those Tower Club kids said, wrong, not what's going to happen. Together, they resisted it. They said, you are wrong for even reading that article. The article is rubbish. We will not give up what makes us human. Well, that felt pretty good. And I hope that is true. They said social distancing. We can do it without breaking the bonds of being human. Do you wish you could go somewhere?
I go to a movie theater.
A movie theater.
I want to go to a restaurant with friends.
And let someone else serve you.
Yeah.
May it be so. And I'm in. Let's sing. All right, we're going to sing a song that I was absolutely certain that my family knew well, and they said, never heard it. Enter,
heard it.
rejoice, and come in. It's timely, isn't it? What key is it? Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. It will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Maybe so. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.